Okay. And I've prepared some slides so that we can structure a little bit our meeting. So I will share my screen. I hope that you are all doing well and safe, by the way. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, it's okay.
Nice. So I have prepared an agenda here. I just received a message from Jonathan from the University of Siena. So he's asking for the link to the meeting. So I'll just answer him. And also team. Okay, so I hope they can join. So I have prepared this agenda for today. We will just update you with regarding the economy, and then we will also discuss these partner agreements that we have to sign so that we can transfer the budget towards your universities. Later on, I just wanted to discuss with you the possibility of implementing our website and logo. And then we will look into the details of the intellectual outputs so that we can align ourselves to what we were expected to deliver and how can we tailor this to our own research and expertise. And then we will have some open discussion so that we can plan the next steps. So I see that our economy controller Evan is here with us. So maybe I can just ask Evan to give us an update on the economy part. Evan?
Yeah. I have not much news. We have received the first payment from DIKU, and when we have signed all the partner agreements, then we will transfer the money to each of the partners.
And we were aiming at having the partner agreements ready before today's meeting, but unfortunately we didn't manage because we were trying to schedule a meeting with the Norwegian Erasmus office, which is DIKO, but we haven't managed to schedule that meeting. We will have it in this week, actually. So once we have that in place, and we will finalize the draft for the partner agreements, and then we can share it with all of you. So this was actually a very quick update. Hi, Jonathan.
Okay. Hi. Good morning. I made it finally.
Sorry, it was a bit confusing probably because the link was Actually, there were two different links for the meeting.
Good morning, Isabel. Yeah, maybe you just have to send the link again by email. I don't know. No, I was searching for it. Okay, you already did, probably. Great.
Yeah, yeah. And Tim is also here. Hi, Tim. Okay, so
good morning. Good morning.
We were just summarizing the economy situation and the fact that we're still finalizing the partner agreements. I know that Sienna, for instance, has already received the document.
No, but I have a great news because this morning I inspected the document carefully, and basically they sent me the agreement of another Erasmus project, which is data Toki, which is not AugmentedWearEdu. So I'm trying to contact again the international office.
Documents are not ready. Yeah.
Yeah, it's another project. It's with the coordinator is in French. So they knew in the office that I won this project, and so the first that came was sent to me. But I'm still so we are in the nightmare of smart working, which is not so smart actually. And so I'm trying to contact the offices, but. It's I mean it's that a lot of time that I'm trying to contact them, but by the way, so it's another project that has the agreement, but not our.
Okay, so then the point is that we will try to finalize the partner agreements within this week. And I just take the chance to maybe give Tim the opportunity to introduce himself, since he was not here during the first meeting. Tim, would you like to say a few words about yourself?
Yes, I can do that very quickly. Sorry first for being late. I had some struggles with Teams and everything's a bit complicated. So let me just give you a quick video overview. So I'm home today. My small daughter is a little bit ill, so she's not very fit and needs to have some more lab time today. So that's why I will switch the video off. But just to give a quick introduction, glad to be here, glad to meet all of you. I'm Tim. I'm a professor of information systems at UR and researching between software engineering and crisis management. And from the crisis management part came a project on virtual reality. And from the project on virtual reality came a project on virtual reality in education. So taking a bit of the chances. And that's also how I ended up being asked by Filippo to give it a try here and to hopefully contribute a bit to this project.
Nice. We are very happy to have you here and also to have your daughter with us.
More support. Yeah, she's getting better, but needs a bit of lab time today.
Nice. Okay, so and then Daniel is also here and Silvio. Yeah. So let's switch back to the presentation. So then the next slide is on. I would like to ask you to send me the following materials. So, for instance, partner description. We already have this into the proposal that we have delivered, but please feel free to send me a description or an updated version that you would like to use to be published on the website that we are going to implement. And then a biography of yourself, like a short biography, maybe highlighting how your profile matches with the project, and then a photo of you. And then maybe together, I would like to welcome your suggestion for the logo. for the project. It can be in a form of text if you would like to, or if you would like to suggest sketches or anything, and then I will try to integrate all your suggestions. So whatever you feel like we should highlight in our logo, we will try then to integrate it. And maybe during the next upcoming meeting, we could have a few options, like 3 or 4 options, and vote for the one that we like the most. So in parallel, I've asked the UEA webmaster to help us and support us for implementing the website. At least our idea is to use a CMS system so that we can give access to all of you to produce content, so that later on we can add more and more content. Yeah, do you have any comments on this part?
Filippo, do you know if we have a deadline for the presentation of the website? No.
I don't think so. It's only going to be deliverable that is going to be checked by the end of the project.
Okay.
But of course, for us, it's good to have it in place as soon as possible.
Yeah. The sooner the better. Then at least the structure. Then of course we will fill it with all the contents. But a place where to point to when referring to the project, of course, is important. Yeah.
And quick suggestion would be to.
Sorry.
A quick suggestion would be to use the website directly also as a kind of dissemination tracker. I've done that now in several projects, and I think it's typically appreciated by the funding giver that you keep quite close track of whatever has been disseminated, both scientifically and probably with press or interviews or whatever. And I think just using the website to keep track of that makes a lot of sense.
I agree. Nice suggestion, Tim. And perhaps we could also link to the website. We could create some social media profiles on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and link them to the web page.
So I want to ask if we will do it by ourselves, I mean, adding photos, biographies, or we will need to send to you at some point.
I hope that I can set up the CMS system with our webmaster and then give you access so that you can edit your own content.
Okay.
So we'll organize the very initial structure, and then you will all have access.
Filippo, in terms of logo, what you are asking for is some idea in text, so you have there someone to implement it in a visual way. Is this correct?
Exactly. So it could be text, or if you feel like if
I'm
you
not
have some
very good.
artistic skills, just feel free to send a sketch or.
Filippo, you are the artist, so you should. You have the passion for painting, no? So.
Yeah, I do. So feel free to add your. It can be words, or it can be things that you believe we should kind of convey through the logo. And then later in the next meeting, we can have a few options to select from. Yeah. So and by the way, the website is also the main tool where we are going to publish the library of tools and technology that we have proposed.
So just proposal, maybe logo. So I guess it would be a good way to show it graphically, and we have the title from 3 parts, so the logo for all the 3 parts by showing interrelation.
Mm-hmm.
Something similar, just the idea.
The 3 parts from like haptics, education, which ones do you mean?
Yes,
the 3...
it was AugmentedWearEdu, something like that. So
yeah.
One part is technology, one part is education, and another part maybe variables or something from daily life. I don't know.
Yeah.
So just the idea.
Yeah, this is the point. Yes. So we should convey this in a more intuitive way through the logo.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, regarding the CMS itself, there are a few options that again I have to discuss with our webmaster, but I was considering to use Joomla. I'm not sure if you are familiar with it. It's very similar to WordPress, but it offers quite a big library of plugins that we can use, for instance, to add documents or files, or and then also control the access to the website with different kind of rights to the users.
We use, for example, we teach our students to use WordPress a lot, and for us, it's the best in CMSs, but we can do it with Joomla. We can manage with Joomla also, no problem.
So for us, Joomla is better option, I guess, because we know programming of Joomla, so we can create components by ourselves if we need it. So
That's a great point, because probably if we want to integrate the wearables and the library for wearables, then we could create our own plugin for Joomla.
So, but if you would agree on WordPress, so we are also familiar with that tool as well.
No, so I was just suggesting another option, but I think it's better that you use the tool that you are most familiar with.
Mm-hmm. So I will check this also with the webmaster here, and then we take a decision. Okay, so this was the first slide. Then I want to go a little bit more deeper into the details of the 3 intellectual outputs that we are supposed to implement. So I will briefly introduce them, and then I believe that maybe Jonathan and Thomas, that are leading 2 work packages, they might have some material or some slides that you would like to show us. The first intellectual outputs is titled Assessment Tool for Educators' Competencies Evaluation on Using VR, AR, including wearable haptic technologies. And this is led by KTU. So basically, this intellectual output is targeting educators to evaluate and assess their competencies in using VR, AR tools and haptics. Some background on this intellectual output. So during this pandemic times, it's quite difficult for students to access laboratories. Regarding theoretical teaching, this is not a huge problem, because we can have tele lectures through Teams or other programs. But accessing laboratories is quite difficult. So that's our main motivation. So there is a need first for teachers to learn new skills and competencies so that we can implement wearables and VR and AR technologies in education, so that we can enable the access to laboratories. So what we need is a tool that could not only assess the teacher's overall readiness, but also show the potential and areas for improvement. So basically, what we want to propose is a tool that can be used for self-assessment of educators' competencies with respect to the use of VR, AR, and haptics. So
Philip, just a question. These teachers are teachers from universities or other type of education level?
We assume that in the proposal we say higher education, so that it could also be teachers from high school.
But even a high education, are we assuming that these tools exist already in place, or are we assessing needs or expectations from colleagues that do not usually have access to these tools?
Yes, so this is a good point. Let's say that the general idea is to, let's say, adapt or modify existing courses that require access to laboratories, and modify them or enable them to be remotely accessible through the use of VR, AR, and haptics. So we might assume that there is a big variety of competencies in teachers, right? There are maybe some teachers that might be more exposed already to the use of VR and AR, some others that have a more traditional approach, right? So that's why we need to first assess their competencies, right? So that we can advise which tool might be good for a specific course.
Did you have any area engineering of engineering that would be better suited to this first analysis?
Not really. I think that this is something that we could discuss together. We had some ideas with Thomas and with Jonathan on which courses we could target. For instance, we were considering to use to start with basic courses on physics, for instance. But I think that this is something we have to discuss together, especially looking at the pedagogical perspective. And we are really open to your suggestions. For instance, we could have each of us could start by looking at our study programs and try to some courses where these might be more relevant. So we were considering, for instance, the course, the basic course on physics, because it's quite common in all the study programs, and there are practical examples that we could implement in a simulated environment, and then use haptics and VR and AR to interact with these systems. But as I said, that will be our next step, to identify potential courses that we can adapt.
There are colleagues trying to talk, because I have some other questions, but let's see.
Please. Yes, I see that There's Jasiar and Jonathan. Please, Jasiar.
Yeah, okay. First, I think also consider the course in there are, I don't know if it is part of your target group, because there is multimedia group in the under Department of ICT that actually, of course, there is a course related to VR, AR development, and also using of haptic. Yeah, that is if it is something that people teaching multimedia also included here, or it is you really want to have just like mechatronics people that teaching in mechatronics, for example. That is one thing. And the second, about the definition of higher education, I think I believe it not include high school, because like even how it is administrated, I don't know in other countries. In Norway, for example, for high school it is administrated by fylkeskommune, while if it is higher education, it is DIKU and so on, you know, the Directorate for Higher Education. So I just thinking that way. We have to be clear about what educators we are talking about.
So probably to directly add to that from our project, I think it would make more sense to limit ourselves to one level of education. So, for example, the university education, than to say we make it narrow with regard to the fields that we are studying. Because even if we are looking at courses mainly for one field, it should still be possible to get recommendations that work for many different fields. And I guess from a dissemination or citation standpoint, it makes sense to limit ourselves to one level, but to be broad when it comes to subjects, so we will get many people interested in that work.
I agree with your suggestions, and if
yes, that's what I wanted to say. That we should not. I think it's not the time to narrow to engineering now, because probably, I mean, thinking to my experience in the labs as a student in engineering, I think that there are for sure some experience that can be improved with haptics or with any other kind of tools that we are developing. But probably I can think to other fields where this would be much more interesting. I was thinking for instance, to medical things where, of course, the palpation or where touch can be really important, or arts, for instance, where you do labs of sculpturing or whatever, and so I think that in this time we could have a more broad view of all the possible courses, and then maybe we could narrow toward the end through two possible application that we develop and we sell as a final product. But now we can have a bit open mind to all the possible courses at the university level, of course.
I agree. I think we should integrate all these suggestions in. We could have a portfolio of courses or target courses, right? That are ranging from like multimedia courses or courses that are like mechatronics or robotics, where people are already used to the technology, to courses where instead we have a more practical approach, like medical or arts, and then physics, so that we have a quite big variety of courses that we are considering, at least for now. And then later on we can narrow down, and we can have like study cases for each topic. So we could start with a shared document where each of us could suggest courses to be considered there. And of course, this could be tailored to like involving your colleagues at locally, right? So you could start a dialogue with the responsibles of the courses and try to, investigate their needs, right? so that we can get an input from their side. That would be really relevant.
What would be, sorry, because I see other colleagues trying to talk, but to investigate needs and to involve colleagues, we have already to at least explain what they will get in return, unless this is so close to us. Like for me, it would be process modeling or process improvement, or things like that in information systems that can have labs. But otherwise, if I go to the medical school or other schools that are not usually working with us day to day, I have to explain the project and what they will get in return for their collaboration.
I agree. It's a good point, Isabel. We could prepare a document to be shared with them, where we briefly introduce the project and highlight potential benefits for the courses, and then maybe prepare a questionnaire so that we can get an input from their side. Is it something that
yeah, that will help.
It will help. So we prepare a document to share with them. Team, and would you like to add something?
Yeah, to a few of the comments that came before, I think it would be quite nice, instead of saying we're doing very concrete or very general advices, to do something like probably having a parameterizable or customizable final set of recommendations. As to say, many of them will apply to all kind of courses. Some will apply to certain, say, teaching methods, and a few will probably only apply to, say, engineering or physics courses. And so probably with everything we produce, we could directly keep in mind, does it apply generally or does it apply narrowly?
Mm-hmm. Nice. Jasiar?
Okay, about survey. I just want to mention that our previous project have developed a lot of questionnaires and asking teachers. I don't know how much it can be reused. Team perhaps know better as well about that, because we develop exactly questionnaire. I don't know if you are familiar with ArcGIS network information system. Yeah, so we even distribute those questionnaires to ArcGIS network. So it is something that I just want to mention, and perhaps we can also advancing that questionnaires.
Sure, I think that this is. I didn't know you worked on this, so it would be really nice to, as a starting point, at least to look at this at the results from your questionnaires.
To quickly add to that, since our project is an Erasmus Plus project, I think all of the materials are reusable, since from the EU standpoint of funding, it should be going into the public domain anyway. So in that regard, reusing what we have in place should be quite easy.
Nice. Silvio?
So I completely agree with the comments of my colleagues, and I wanted to ask you if you are thinking of a questionnaire or a survey for the self-assessment tool, or were you thinking of something more complex, like a mini software or something like that?
I have prepared the sketch here. So basically, what we want to do is self-assessment should include, in my opinion, it could include different kind of surveys for the teachers. and we also need to develop some kind of matrix so that we can evaluate the readiness of the teacher with respect to the technology, right? Because we want to assess them, right? So that then we can come up with a suggestion on what kind of tools specifically might be useful for a course. So now, currently, we are targeting this part of the sketch, self-assessment tool.
So maybe Filippo will tell about the stuff how I imagine when we will present these different parts, okay?
Yes, yes. So I think that Thomas might have a more clear idea on this intellectual output. So for me, these are just suggestions so far.
Yeah, I have a comment here
Please,
about
John.
this. So since in this project there is really a little budget for possible device development and possible customization of the devices, and since this is in any case a first attempt to broadly use wearable haptics or these haptic devices at home, and so we really need to understand which kind of devices could be delivered. So because my impression is that if I go to a surgeon and I ask, would you like to touch something remotely, then what he can expect is to have a kind of experience that probably we cannot deliver with the actual haptic devices that we have. So my suggestion, and I a little bit anticipate what I wanted to say later on, is that we first have an idea of the technology that is available now, because I think that both the haptic devices that we have here in Siena and also the devices that that Filippo is developing, so have to be really so we have to really to match the application, because we cannot render a complete tactile experience. So we need to understand, for instance, I make a very simple example. We have this kind of thimbles that can be used and can be probably one of the technology that can be easily delivered at home. With this thimble, we can only stimulate the skin here in the fingertip. Okay, so it's really impressive what you can render. For instance, you can render the contact on the surface. You can really render that you are squeezing more or less an object. But for instance, as we were discussing with Filippo yesterday, if we have an object and we vary the softness of this object, and you simply touch with this thimble, the variety of the signal that you get back is not so high. So it's really difficult to render very high, so a very big scale of different softness of materials using only this. So we have to target this. Or for instance, we have the possibility to develop interfaces with a thermal component. Is a Petri cell that can change its temperature. So there could be some experience where the temperature is really relevant, is more relevant than the softness, for instance. And in that case, we have to go for this kind of devices. But before to ask, I guess, to colleague, you want to use this kind of technology, we really need first, all of us have to keep in mind which kind of devices we could deliver. And then I think that it's important to also tailor the surveys and the assessment toward the technology that we have.
I think that this is a good point. In my opinion, this is something that we have to do it in parallel, internally first, right? For instance, some of us might look at the pedagogical aspect and try to, start coming up with a list of possible topics and looking at the objectives. And then some others, like myself, Jonathan, maybe Thomas, and who else would like to join, could look at the technological perspective, right? So that we make a list of tools that we have and are reasonably achievable within the budget. So, for instance, what kind of haptic devices we can provide, what kind of simulation tools KTU can provide, right? So that we have a list of potential courses, a list of potential tools, and then we can try to merge these two things and align them into the survey, right? So that we have a targeted survey with questions that are more specifically tailored to the technology that we can provide.
You don't limit what kind of technology it is, right? If it should be like immersive wearable VR and VR glasses, or also include desktop or cave technology or something, video 360 degree as a VR. I don't know what you have in mind about technology, choice of technology.
I think that this is a good point, Jasier. We should we have two limitations, in my opinion. One is the budget of the project itself, but more relevant is the constraint that we have because we want to give students the possibility of implementing this experience at home without the need of sustaining a huge cost, right? We want to make our tools as much as possible economical, right? So, for instance, they could maybe use a 3D printer to print a few parts and buy some economical hardware and then assemble what they need at home. So it should be easy to produce and low cost.
Okay, yeah.
And so that we can maximize the number of students that can utilize it. Right.
Okay, the haptic is the focus.
This list of technological tools should be then constrained according to what is easier to produce and so on. Did you want to add something else? Yes, yeah.
No. Just then it is the focus is the haptic itself, right? If you reproduce, because I don't know what you mean reproduce, because I can think reproduce, is it the software, and we already discussed that it is not something that can be covered to the budget, but then what you can do 3D printing things is something yeah, I just perhaps have no idea. It is that you design VR and then print it, or 3D model, or then it is printed or something. I'm sorry, it is just like questions.
These devices, for instance, that Sienna has designed, like the ring, they can be printed.
In the sense, okay. Yeah, so the haptic itself, right?
That I have designed can be assembled at home without using a 3D printer. Actually, you can use a simple glue and wires that can be assembled at home.
Okay.
So that the students can make their own tools to access the visual laboratory.
I think that ideally, at the end of the project, you could have a website where you have the 3D models of the parts, and you can download it and print with your own 3D printer. Or, I mean, you could even order this because it should be rather cheap. You could order the plastic part and then you could assemble and build it at home, because I mean, there are very simple plastic parts, and then there are servo motors that you can buy
off the shelf.
Off the shelves, very cheap, and standard controllers like Arduino or similar or Teensy, which are controllers that you can. So I mean, the devices that we are referring to is something that you can easily build with less than 50 euros. And so this could be something that you could at home print. If we, that was why I was saying this before, because if we think to complex haptic interfaces like the one we have, like the Omega by Force Dimension, which is very interesting devices, but it costs 30,000 euros. So you cannot think that this, I mean, that students can buy these to follow, I mean, for our courses. So we have to keep in mind that the devices that we can use should be cheap and easy to build at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, now I understand what devices we are talking about, because then it will affect when we do survey what kind of questions that we would like to ask. We don't ask, are you buying HTC, for example, or HoloLens?
This also applies to the VR and AR tools, right? We want to have tools that are very economical. We cannot buy the latest Oculus or the latest Microsoft headset.
HoloLens.
HoloLens.
Just saying that we have and at CM Lab we have 3 devices of VR headset.
Mm-hmm.
The one that is wireless type Oculus Quest.
I mean, one really economical possibility is a few years ago, Google was allowing to print out on carton board like a structure where you can then insert your phone.
Yeah, cardboard. I call it low budget headset. That I think it is still exists.
Yeah,
those things. Yeah.
This kind of tool is what we are targeting.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. So it is
of course,
ranging.
we could have maybe one example from a research point of view, right? In parallel to what we do for the courses, we could have an example just to showcase the possibilities with the top highest end haptic device that we have in the lab, and top-notch VR headset, just to showcase the possibilities, right? But then for the courses, we use only low-end economical tools.
And I just asking if Oculus coming with handheld, this is considered also haptic, right? Handheld no.
Haptics is when you receive a force back.
So I think we receive.
It vibrates. It vibrates.
Yes. So it vibrates, or you can like feel the mass and feel the this type of things.
Then it's haptics.
Yeah. Okay, then I have much clearer ideas, because I can tell as well my experience inserting VR in the teaching, because I have experience this semester. One of my course is include VR, and I have interesting experience there. But I mean, it is next time if we reach that stage.
Mm-hmm.
Can I add some comment also? I guess maybe we should not promote the very specific tools, because if we do that, so they will be useful only for us, but maybe not for other institutions, which maybe can buy some better equipment. So I guess we should concentrate on proposing some general things and assessing, like using head-mounted displays, but we do not promote the specific head-mounted display, and the same with haptics and other stuff. So basically, in our piloting groups, we use what we have maybe already because we can't buy, and the things we will create, we will show us the examples maybe.
I agree. Yeah, it's the methodology that is important.
So I just wanted to add that we played lately with the merge cube, which is kind of a pairing a cheap VR headset with a cube that you keep in your hands and turn around, and it's like a hologram that you can see in your hand. So that can be built inside your home, so do it yourself, and it's also cheap, so we can also recommend something like this for certain kinds of applications, and it kind of has a little bit of haptics also.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I know what you mean. It's interesting you have that cube because I want it's much more to AR, right? For augmented reality.
Yeah, kind of more towards AR hologram style.
Yeah, and you can interfere with that cube. Yeah, I don't know where you buy it. Actually, I saw it one day in one exhibition in the United States, on the biggest multimedia exhibition, I think. But I haven't like having made an effort to find that cube. But I think it is interesting that I wanted all the time to do such type of research.
We ordered it from Amazon. We couldn't buy it from their website because they only delivered in the US. But they have a shop on Amazon, and we ordered 3 pieces, and we gave it to some students that we had the course with.
Okay.
But you can find the practically the cube has some kind of QR codes on each of the sides, and you can print it and do it from cardboard or something like that in your home. The QR codes are available on the internet, and you can do it yourself.
Okay, I just didn't know. Okay, thank you for information.
Philip, if I can summarize from what I'm hearing, what do each partner do, at least for us in Portugal, is to identify the audience for the questionnaire, establish the contacts, deliver questionnaires. We would then participate in the analysis of the results in Portugal and then report and integrate it with other colleagues. Would this be a contribution, our participation for this?
I remember also your expertise. Please correct me. It was you are also looking at
attention
organization, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you also have you could focus on that aspect.
Yeah. But I'm just focusing intellectual output 1, because in intellectual output 2, I would
yes.
I will suggest a little bit more from our side. Yeah. So for us partners in this intellectual output 1 is we will all deliver questionnaires, gather information, analyze the results, and then somehow report and integrate them with the other partners. Is this what is expected for this output?
Yes, I think that you have summarized it very well.
Okay. So I'm just registering that here.
But I assume that the survey must be one thing, then it is done the same way in different places, right? Then we have to one step before that to coordinate the survey itself.
We have to do it internally, yes. Best also, so align it with the technological perspective, tailor it to each other. Yeah. So we could have let's say we could have 2 subgroups, one working on the survey from a pedagogical perspective, and the other group working on the technological perspective. Okay, so this is intellectual output 1. Again, the target groups are teachers. Element of innovation that we brought in the proposal were like self-reflective learning approach. So the main innovative aspect is that we can design tailor-made courses for educators. And then there are potential for transferability to different kind of topics. Maybe Thomas, have you prepared some content that you would like to add on this?
On IO1? Yeah,
IO1?
I made it. I made some slides so I can share and show what I had in mind.
Nice.
So we don't need to get back to this one. Okay, so I will share my screen. Okay, so I made the slide. So I sent it to Filippo. So Filippo, I guess, will share these slides. So
yes.
I'm also sorry that I didn't come to our first meeting because we had holidays and I was not aware about it. But anyway, so here in the slides, you will see some introduction about us, about our university, and about our faculty. You see this building and our virtual and augmented reality laboratory. Actually, we here now are sitting in the part of that laboratory. So regarding the output, so we have, as it's written in the application, we have a tool to evaluate competencies and to outputs its material and kind of scientific publication besides other work products. So I was thinking also about the idea, and now that some of you at least are from information system area, so I guess this is familiar to you. I took a model of how it is done for software process evaluation, and I guess we will use the similar idea. And there was a question if it would be very simple or more sophisticated, so we will have a bit more sophisticated tool. Because if you need to create the tool, you need some concept, and it's just quite a good example of a very good tool in software. So basically what we will need to do for the assessment tool, so we would need to separate 7 different areas of the skills, maybe engineering skills, maybe using skills, maybe pedagogical things and others. And then for each of the areas, I guess we will have how to say different or the specific skills that we will address. So what we will need to do together, I guess we will have to create such kind of a model to identify skill areas and skills. Then in order to assess, we need metrics and relations. And and then the database, which is also written in the application to support the model and questions. So basically, if we go back here, so here we kind of have the tree of different things, and we can browse. So I guess if we could make a similar browser of all the skills we need to use VR and AR and haptics in teaching, that would be nice. And the outcome would be some kind of a tool that would show generally if a teacher is ready to use or he would like to improve some specific areas or some specific skills. This is also a tool from a software assessment, software process assessment. So we have several activities, and the first one is skill identification. So basically, I see from the application that we will need to have the focus groups. We need to have hand out some questionnaires and receive the feedback, and then think about that model, about skill areas and specific skills. Then there is A2, is conception design. So basically, we need to generalize everything and make that specific model, something like here, for example. Then when we have it, then we could start creating that tool, and we will need the questions for all the identified skills to be assessed. Then we need to complete that tool and to make the piloting. So piloting, I guess, depending on each partner. So I guess mostly we will do it in our universities. We will ask other teachers, lecturers to use our tool and well, to make the assessment of them, and we will get the results, and well, we will see what conclusions we can do. And so I guess that's it. Quality assurance, I see here is the general activity which we need to perform in all the intellectual outputs. So I guess that's it, Filippo.
This is a really nice plan, Thomas. I think that it's perfectly what we have discussed, and it looks like you have already explored some specific tools that we can use to build this assessment system. So it's in line. I guess then you can take the lead on coordinating the questionnaires. So to make these questionnaires, we need to basically split ourselves into two subgroups. One looking at pedagogical aspect, and the other one looking at the technological perspective.
So you are talking about that focus groups initially, yes?
Right, yeah.
So very good idea, because not many of us, I guess, are pedagogical people.
Yeah, but at least for us, we also have focus in our previous project related to pedagogical aspect. Even we had a paper in computer and education, so we should be able to somehow telling about that. But I think is it good to start with a kind of theory, pedagogical theory that we can use and bring further in terms of what kind of skill, for example, we want to develop and so on based on pedagogical theory. That would be nice. I mean, of course, I can suggest about that if it is needed, but yeah, just mention.
Sure. In the proposal, we mentioned a few theoretical pedagogical bases, like learning by doing and visual learning. So we could start from that, and I agree. There are maybe the line is not really well defined. There are people that might have a good background on pedagogical and technological perspectives, and this is good actually, so that we have an overlap there.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
how you will divide this task? Who will, for example, who are much more aligned to the technology and much more aligned to the pedagogical aspect? Is it something that has been defined, or it is something that we need to be like volunteer? Okay, I tackle this, you tackle that, for example.
maybe it's a way to go to volunteer, because everybody of you know where are you strong.
Exactly, I agree. So we could start. By the way, do you all have access now to the Google Drive?
I think you have Team, right? No, you did. You share Team webs. At least I had a feeling I get invitation from Team storage.
I don't remember if I received either one or the other.
We have created a preliminary shared folder with Thomas, so I will add all of you there.
I had an invitation for a Google Drive folder, but I don't see many things inside that folder.
No,
so
no,
I don't know.
Still quite empty.
Okay. So I got it.
We only have one folder on related articles.
Who sent the invitation? So I try to search here.
I have. I just created it a few days ago, so I haven't had the time to send all of you. Okay. So I will add all of you here.
Just make sure. Are you sure that you don't create a team repository as well, Filippo? I had feeling that I have invitation in that, and
yes, there is a Teams group as well. But what is the best? Are you all fine with Teams or?
I don't know. I mean, I just asking it if it is still used or not. If you make a Google Drive, yeah. For you, perhaps the problem is if you invite external organization, you have to generate code, right?
I mean, the only reason why we actually created this Google Drive with Thomas is because we wanted to start involving some students which do not have access to the Teams.
To be honestly, I would prefer Google Drive. It's much more easier to work with.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So let's say for the working documents where we really have to jointly participate, it's maybe better to use Google Drive. It's easier and just to keep track and so on. And then for the more bureaucratical stuff, and then we can still use Teams, like for instance, to share the agreements and things like this. Okay, so I will add you there, and then we can start the process of basically creating two documents. One looking at courses and pedagogical perspective, and the other one looking at making a list of tools that we can use for the courses. Okay, so then we can continue with IO2. So this is the one that Yuya is leading, and the title is Training Program for Educators on Haptics. VR and AR competencies development. So basically, based on the output from IO1, the self-assessment tool, here we are going to build training programs for educators. So this is what we have written in the proposal. There is a need for educating teachers on using different kind of devices to provide access to the laboratory. So we need to design these training programs. So actually this is a bridging work package between IO1 and IO3. In IO1 we design this self-assessment tool. In IO3 we design the technology. So with IO2 we integrate the two things together. So we propose the integration of the considered technology with the selection of courses for educators. So here is where we are going to implement the courses for educators. So this is just a follow-up on the previous sketch and how this could look like. So we are targeting educators courses output from IO1. So what is the expected impact? This intellectual output has potential for development of new technology beyond the current state of the art, including the following aspects: significant theoretical contribution. So here is where I mentioned some possible pedagogical basis, like this visible learning paradigm to be applied to STEM education. Methodological innovation. This will enable teachers to have the essential competencies they require in order to be effective in a virtual augmented laboratory. And then experimental or empirical advances. The development of a training course for educators will make it possible to experimentally apply and iteratively assess, redefine, and customize the haptics and the tools that we develop in IO3. So there is actually two perspectives. One is the education of teachers, and the other one is the research perspective, right? How to integrate these tools to make these courses more efficient. So, and of course there are transferability potentials. The program can be used as a piloting framework to develop training courses for educators on different disciplines. And this is in line with the EU policies and objectives and so on. So in my opinion, IO2 will be then starting or building up slightly after, let's say, the first stage is defining or get IO1 into running, and possibly IO3 running in parallel. And then based on the output from these two work packages, we can start doing the integration into courses. So the division of work will, this is what we have written in the proposal, but I think it can be slightly adjusted on the go while we have some results from IO1 and IO3. Do you have any questions on this part?
So a question. So the two will develop tools to to train educators, right?
Yes.
So, but the same tools can be used then in their classrooms. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Actually, it's as much as possible we could we should use the same tools, and we should basically the course for trainers, the course for educators could be almost identical to the course that is then deployed to students. But of course, like teachers should have access like to the back end of the course, right? And look at also how they can assess students, right?
And yeah, and in IO2, will there be guidelines how to create courses using these methodology and tools? I mean,
it could be also possible to provide like general guidelines for educators. Yeah, this is a nice suggestions.
But so one moment, Filippo, I see here we will have to present the methodologies and guidelines. So basically these would be some descriptions, videos, but not some kind of tools. Or I misunderstand something.
We could have a catalog of, in addition to guidelines and methodology, we could have also some use cases, like a catalog of courses for educators. Basically, these are identical to student courses, but they also have like a back-end access where you can assess like to evaluate students, right? So for instance, the teacher is providing the course and he could see how many students are attending, what is their level of interaction, so to have some parameters so to evaluate the students, right? And we could even think if we want to be a little bit more creative, that for some specific tasks, like Jonathan was mentioning, medicine, right? Medical applications. Sometimes the teacher has to demonstrate the task, right? And then the student is going to repeat it.
Yes, so maybe those use cases would be, I don't know, would be interesting for IO3 when we have the library ready and with the general guidelines and methodology, we could make more practical guidance on how these tools in the library can be used, because I see that if you don't have any experience, and it may happen in several situations, but are interested in exploring how to implement the tools in your classes, then it's interesting to at least be inspired by some information on how it can be done effectively, how much effort it requires from the side of the students, what is required to integrate and to create these digital labs and things like that. So I guess mainly for those that don't, those of us, because I'm included. So I have this very clear in my mind, some idea on how to implement all this would be very interesting with these use cases or videos or whatever.
Exactly. So, like now that we're discussing this, as I said, one possible example is this imitation learning, which is also it has a good basis on the pedagogical perspective, right? So if you want to learn a new task, you want to first look at the teacher performing the task and then repeating. And this can be done with, so we have to develop the demonstration part that is part of the course for educators. And then in the student course, we have the imitation perspective. So we could have a use case looking at this. Okay, then it's IO3. I think that Jonathan has prepared some material. So this is the work package that Sienna is leading. You're muted, Jonathan.
Sorry, can you see the screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually this intellectual output should start next September according to the plan, but of course we could so there are many things that are then related to this. So I would like just quickly so the goal is to create this open source library of VR, AR, and wearable haptics to be used for our courses. And so I just copy paste from the proposal what we have to do, and basically it is really, so one thing that is important probably for us is to start thinking to the website, and as you were saying that while designing the website, we could already take into account that there will be a section where we will deploy our results. So this is something to keep in mind. And then, of course, here is that this IO3 basically collects all the results that comes from IO1 and IO2. So all the analysis and the requirements studied in the first two are collected here. So basically, once we will have the targets and we will have decided the technology, then we will have this. Then I think we discussed many of the things already here, and maybe this is too early to talk now. And as you were saying here, we were mentioning this pedagogical tool, the learning by doing, the problem-based learning, and the concept of active learning. I was really impressed about the sentence that we wrote by Confucius here, that I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand. So I love a lot this sentence, and this is something we have to push, no? So we could think to some I mean in the
actually
the idea of,
sorry to interrupt, this could be an idea for the logo and the motto.
yeah. So we could think to an experience really that could be the basic demo of the project, no, something that you can really do, or you can really build or assemble something, and you perceive it also with all the technology that we will provide. So I mean, it's just something to keep in mind. And then apart all the details that are in the proposal, I would like to suggest a few things. So one thing, it could be that we take one morning or one afternoon in the next month, probably in January, because December is pretty busy already, and we could have a kind of workshop where I think especially the more technological partners can show what they have as technology. So we could take I don't know, 1 hour per partner and show really. That will be really interesting if we could do like a kind of live demo in the lab. I could arrange, I mean, if the situation is like this, that we can still go outside. We don't know what will happen in January, but let's hope that I can go in the lab. And we can, I could do something of a kind of live demo to show the technology that we have. And probably Filippo could do something similar, and all other partners in VR could show us, I mean, taking some time to show what are the technology that are really available. Now, this is especially important because, I mean, I don't want to stress too much this, but it's important that we do not have too much resources to develop brand new things. So the resource that we have is to probably adapt what we have to this, and so it's really important to that all, I think, have in mind which kind of technology we have. And then, of course, we are more than open to help in the definition of the focus group and of the assessments, because of course everything that is related to the technology, we would, so we are more than happy to be in. And then just another thing that I want to stress is that while for instance for VR AR we have now many commercial tools, no, that can be off the shelves, and I was just checking what Silvio suggested on Amazon, and I think that will be the next my next request to Santa Claus to bring me that cube, because it's really nice and is rather cheap. So apart of that, so while these things are, so we could discuss on which kind of headset, so it's something that is commercial. So this haptic stuff is not commercial. So we have a spin-off in our university, and they are trying to sell some of these haptic devices, but still they don't have. So they are still in the phase where they customize something to very big companies. So they are not selling as a product. So you cannot find in Amazon a wearable haptic device. So what is interesting for us, and I think what is to stress in the project, is that we don't need to have these very complicated devices, but we could have very easy to build at home devices that can be still effective. So that's why I think it's interesting to have this approach of open source and possibly just focus on the development of very simple devices that can be self-assembled at home. Okay, so I think that's it for this now. Yes.
Yes, so I guess we could then agree on the next steps. So the next actions are basically I'm going to share the Google Drive with all of you, and then prepare basically 2 documents. One that is going to explore the technological perspective, and the other one the pedagogical side. You already have tasks to deliver the content for the website, and this can be done directly when I hope to get in place the template and the domain as soon as possible.
Yeah, Philippe, for the IO1, can we have the temporal window and also a place where we can add what we think could be our contribution, so it is validating, and for me, I can organize my small team here in order to integrate other tasks in the best way to comply with deadlines. That would be nice.
So maybe the best is to, should we have an horizon by the end of January to finalize this first task? Do you think is it feasible, or?
Yes, this first task is to provide you with, to give you the information and contribute to the logo, and what else?
And start listing possible potential courses and potential tools, so that in the next meeting we can do a selection. We can discuss together which ones are the most relevant for the project.
Okay.
So January is a short month normally, but we can aim at a new finalizing this task by the end of January and have a new meeting by then. And maybe, I mean, we could also try to follow up and align each other via email in the while. Or actually the communication could be done more efficiently here on Teams, because then everyone can see the post. I don't know if you have used, are you familiar with posting messages here in the wall of the group? I will just add a message now. Before next meeting.
Do you think, what do you think about using a project management tool like Freecamp or Trello, so we can have a clear picture of deadlines and everything?
This is also okay for me. Is it Trello that you're familiar with?
We use Trello and Freecamp also. So Trello is easier to start with. Freecamp is more complex, but it, has more functionality.
I mean, from my perspective, as long as this doesn't add more overhead, that's fine.
I just want to mention, I think Trello can be integrated in Team. They have app that can be, it is, but as I mentioned, it is up to you if you do something else, but I'm flexible. Trello is fine as well for me.
So that will be the best. I think I've seen it. It can be installed as an app here in Teams.
Yeah, I think so. And actually, Google Drive as well can be integrated in Team as well. If one prefer to another, then they still have access to that Google Drive. There is an app that can connect that as well.
But Filippo, I'm not the best user of Teams, of course, but I see that I can join the meeting, but I don't see, so in my previous experience with Teams, I saw the group and whatever, you could share documents and everything. But here, I don't know if I have to join something, or you send me an invitation for the group that I miss, or so if it's already there.
interface, there is an icon that says Teams. The one with the people. Can you see this?
Yeah. So I saw Teams.
So here there should be a list of all the teams you are involved with, and one of
okay. But we can take this offline.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I will just summarize the actions and send you a message so that we have a clear list of tasks and a deadline for the end of January.
Okay.
Is there anything else you would like to discuss today? Maybe we didn't. I was not good enough to give enough space to Daniel, that is here as well. Daniel, would you like to see a few comments or?
He is in my team is just starting and is still informally, because I will need that agreement to make to formalize his participation. So he's learning about us and what we discuss here.
Okay, good.
Do you consider how to promote activities in social media?
So ideally, we will, in parallel to the website, we will activate accounts to Twitter, maybe Facebook, and I can share the
Instagram
access to all of you. Instagram, yeah. And
Or link.
YouTube channel as well, so that we
LinkedIn,
can publish our videos there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so hopefully before Christmas we will manage to finalize the partner agreements, and then we will be able to transfer the budget to your institutions.
We'll find agreement under the tree, under the Christmas tree.
Christmas tree.
That will be helpful.
It will be a nice present. Okay.
Thanks for your time. This has been really productive and helpful, and looking forward to the next steps.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, all the best.
Bye.
All the best.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Filippo. Bye-bye.
Bye. Ciao.
Ciao.